Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Inside Inter Miami, the Miami Herald's Inter Miami podcast. We are back for another episode this week. I'm Deputy Sports Editor Andre Fernandez, joined once again by Miami Herald's Inter Miami beat writer Michelle Kaufman. Michelle, if we weren't excited before, I know there was a lot of hype, but now Lionel Messi has finally not only made it onto the field, but he has shown everyone what all the fuss is about. Not just once, but twice. The first game, he gives us the first big memorable Messi moment with the game winner in stoppage time at the buzzer to beat Cruz Azul. And then Tuesday night against Atlanta United, a pretty good team in the MLS, which right now in the standings would make the playoffs, and completely just engineered a blowout win, just took them apart, 4-0 rout. And, we'll get into it more, but really if you weren't excited before, I think now he's given everyone evidence of why he's transformed this franchise so quickly.
Yeah, I think now, I'm hearing the question of, is MLS that bad or is Messi that good? Right. Messi is that good. Yeah. Messi is that good. Honestly, we all knew that we're talking about the best player in the world. We're not just talking about any good player, any random player. When Gonzalo Higuain got here, that was considered a big deal. He had played at Juventus. He had played in World Cups. We're talking about the best player in the world, arguably among the top 2, 3, some people say the best player ever in history. And he's still at his prime. He just won a World Cup. So he comes in, and even so, I think most people thought, including me, that there would be a little adjustment period, a little transition period. He's never played in MLS before. He's been on vacation for 2 months practically. The heat and humidity, getting to learn about his teammates. He has just blown all that out of the water. He comes in late in the game, in the first game, and scores, on an absolutely beautiful free kick in the final minute, blow the whistle right after. It was unbelievable. The drama and it was just a storybook. Almost, you wouldn't even believe it if a Hollywood director, producer, writer, screenwriter wrote that and said, okay, the best player of all time is coming to the worst team, and he's going to come in late in the game and he's going to score the game-winning goal on the final play on a beautiful free kick in the upper left corner. They would have said, nah, that's a little bit too unrealistic. Let's try to tone that down a little bit.
Yeah. Like even Ted Lasso wouldn't have done that.
Even Ted Lasso, they would have said, that's a little too preposterous. Let's tone it down. Yeah. Then in this game, for him to start and play 78 minutes with the heat wave that's going on in South Florida right now, for him to come in on basically 6 days of full training and play 78 minutes, start on a brand new team in a brand new league against a team, like you said, that I believe was in 7th place, a team that is a playoff team at this point. Atlanta is a playoff team. To come in and face a playoff team in the heat and humidity, play 78 minutes, score in the 8th minute, score again, provide an assist for Robert Taylor. It's unbelievable. He has 3 goals in 114 minutes and an assist. It's just remarkable what he's doing. And yes, people that were already excited about Messi, he has even amped it up even more. And just the celebrities that are showing up. I saw that Camila Cabello was there yesterday. Of course, DJ Khaled, having LeBron there, having Kim Kardashian, Serena Williams, all of a sudden, Gloria Estefan, all of a sudden, Drive Pink Stadium, the little pink and black Lego set stadium in Fort Lauderdale on Commercial Boulevard, the limos are pulling up Commercial Boulevard and turning on 15th to get into that stadium. So he is completely already in 2 weeks, he has transformed this team on the field. Absolutely. I was watching this team last night saying, is this the same team I mean, is this Robert Taylor? He has shown he's had some bangers of goals. He's in the past. He's definitely a good player. But with Leo Messi playing alongside him, he's elevated to a different level. Every player on that team is going to be elevated by him. And then off the field, it's off the charts. I mean, celebrities showing up for game, the amount of media coverage, the amount of I think the video of his goal in the free kick goal that won the game against Cruz Azul in his debut, it had something like 225 million views on Twitter. Like 225 million views for an MLS goal is just off. It's, in another galaxy.
Right.
So Leo Messi is everything he was cracked up to be, as advertised, and more. And he's only played in 2 games.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing from watching it yesterday, you see the calm and the precision that he plays with. And like you were talking about Robert Taylor, and he's the perfect example right now, because if you look at it, 3 goals himself in these last 2 games. Like you said, Robert Taylor is a solid player in his own right, but now you see how easy it is to not only to create chances, but to receive them and to capitalize on them the way he's doing, just because of the way Messi can find teammates on the field. I mean, it was, from seeing it in person, it was just a treat to watch, because it's one touch, maybe 2 at most, and boom, the ball's there. Or the precise way that he'll draw the defense in. And that's the other thing. The defenders, not just on reputation, but after you play for a few minutes in front of him, you're trying to mark him. They don't try to mark him like any other player. You can't get right up in his face. They respect him enough to play a little bit off of him. And then that little millisecond of indecision, boom, he just burns you right there. And he hits a pinpoint pass to someone else. Or before you know it, he's taking a chance himself that's probably either going to score a goal or get close to scoring a goal. And you saw that even last night. He hits the post on his own first shot, and he collects his miss and scores anyway. No, so it's amazing how just, and to another degree too, let's not forget Sergio Busquets as well created some chances early on, and he's still shaking it off the rust. And what you said before, this is not even 100% fit Messi that we're talking about. This is still shaking off the rust Messi right now. So you can only imagine, and Tata Martino talked about that post game, like, we're still a work in progress. We still have a long way to go. We still have to develop. When you hear that coming off a 4-0 rout of a pretty good Atlanta team, it's really eye-opening.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, his vision, everything, his vision, the way he sees the field, you see him when he's running with the ball, when he's dribbling with the ball, he is looking. He sees, certain athletes, whether it's a point guard in basketball or him or a quarterback, the positions that really need vision. He has field vision. It's almost like he has eyes all over his head. He can see where everybody is. And then the weight and the timing of his passes, it's much harder than it looks. And anyone who's ever played the game or watched the game for a while knows that it's not just you see a guy and you're just passing him. It's the weight of the pass. The pass has to arrive at the exact right moment and at the exact right pace for that player to be able to capitalize on that pass. And that is what he does so amazingly. And then the vision and the reaction, again, in front of the goal, when he takes that shot with his left, it bounces off the post. It bounced off the post, and it's almost like he's a magnet. He knew exactly where that rebound was going to be, and his foot was right there, and he didn't to the goalie, which is another thing, to the goalkeeper, which is another thing that a lot of players do. Sometimes they'll get the rebound, but then it goes directly to the goalkeeper and they make the save. Mm-hmm. He just has a nose for the goal. He's got incredible vision. He's got incredible pacing on the passes, the weight of the pass, the pace of the pass. He's really a different level and a different level player. And Sergio Busquets too, by the way, Messi's first goal was on a beautiful long pass over the defense. Sergio. Yeah. So, I mean, that set the tone for the whole rest of the game. That first goal in the 8th minute got everybody so amped up, and that started with a perfect pass from Sergio. So, yeah, I mean, this is this is a different team. Even I saw today that they've got the tickets are up for sale now for the next game, which is next Wednesday, for the round of 32 of the Leagues Cup. And I saw that the advertisement that the team is using, or the slogan that the team is using is the new era in pink. It says, buy a ticket for the new era. So it's almost, Jorge Mas said last week or 2 weeks ago that, once Messi comes to this league, it's going to be like before Messi and after Messi, that they're going to be two different. When you talk about MLS, you're going to talk about MLS pre-Messi and MLS post-Messi. And that is definitely true of this team. The league, yes. This team even more. This Inter Miami team before his first game last week versus this Inter Miami team now. Those are two completely different teams. And I suspect going forward that we are just going to see a team that's very, very different from the team earlier in the season that was trying hard. They were doing everything they could. They were running around. They had a lot of grit. They had a lot of courage. They pulled off some really good wins despite, the losses, but they didn't have Messi and they didn't have Busquets. And this team, with those two additions alone and Jordi Alba on his way, we're talking about three players who played together at Barcelona who are stars on their national teams of the best teams in the world. They're going to be playing together on three of the positions of the 10 field players. So it's going to be really exciting to see what happens. I mean, can they win the Leagues Cup? Why not? Can they win 2 more games in US Open Cup? All they have to do, August 23rd, they play at Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati is one of the top teams in MLS. They have to play at Cincinnati in the semifinal. But if they win that, they're in the final of the US Open Cup. And if that is the case, I believe that it might be played at Hard Rock Stadium. You're going to maybe have a huge crowd, playing for a cup. Why not? They could maybe win that. Maybe they could win the Leagues Cup. Who knows? It's early, but they've certainly won the first 2 games on top of the group. And the way they played against Atlanta was very impressive. And then there's the season, which resumes August 21st. A lot of people who don't follow MLS are confused. Like, what do you mean? What is this? What are these cups in the middle of the season? I mean, it is weird. This is what soccer does. They just halt their season. Can you imagine, like, the NBA season just in the middle of the season, or the NFL season? They just stop the regular season and take a 1-month hiatus from the regular season, but they're still playing, but they're playing other teams, or they're playing some of the same teams in a cup. It's very confusing for people that are new. And there are people new to the league because there are people who are Messi fans who don't understand how MLS works or any of these things. So, but anyway, the league will resume on August 21st. The team is in last place. They've won only 5 of their 22 games. They have 12 games left, 1/3 of the season once they resume August 21st. 12 games left. They're 12 points away from the final playoff place of 9th place playoff spot. And it seems impossible, but having watched what I've just seen in the last 2 games, I'm not thinking it's quite as impossible as I did before.
Yeah, when you look at that, I even had a moment where normally I would say this and I might sound like I'm joking, but I don't know if I was, because I'm thinking this team may not lose again. I know I haven't seen them play against everybody in MLS, but to the level of dominance that it was pretty impressive. And what you were saying before about the cups, if you're a soccer fan, you're used to this. In the Premier League, you have the FA Cup and others. And NBA fans are going to have to get used to it pretty soon too, because now they have the play-in tournament coming too. So a variation of that. But at the very least, I mentioned this last week, if they can hoist some prize, some sort of tangible prize, I know that's going to be something big for them. But this is a transformative, just complete, 180, whatever you want to call it, from one team to the next. I mean, and look at, and not just Robert Taylor, other players too. And we're talking high caliber players too. Joseph Martinez, I know he's had some injury history, but this is still an all-star and former MVP we're talking about. He looked like himself again last night. And it was just taking shots, creating chances. And Tata talked about that after the game. He said it's kind of the freedom that they can feel they can play with, knowing that Messi and even Busquets too on the field, like he said almost the responsibility they know falls on them without being overshadowed, but it kind of gives them more confidence to take more chances, to play like they can play, and know that they can be more aggressive, and know that they have them on the field. So if anything, those guys are there to back them up and to kind of like help that out and not feel they have to hold back or play a little more of a careful system, that sort of thing. So all that. And then I've always been a believer too, on the mental side, the confidence you have elevates everyone. I mean, this unrelated. One guy that went overshadowed yesterday was Drake Callender and how well he played in goal.
Oh my God. He has been playing. He is just all season. That guy, he has been playing starting last year. He came in. I mean, they paid Nick Marsman a lot of money to come over here to be the starting goalkeeper. And he's a good goalkeeper, proven goalkeeper in Europe. He got injured. And, this happens in sports sometimes. He got injured. Drake Callender comes in, young guy, kind of untested. He just played phenomenal to the point that when Nick Marsman came back, he didn't get a starting job back. He never has. Drake won that job last season, fair and square. He was absolutely the better keeper. And Nick is a smart guy. He knows, this guy's just playing great. He's playing out of his mind. So he did not lose the starting job. He comes in this year and has been playing so well that he was called into his first U.S. national team camp. And, the previous coach, Phil Neville, had been saying all along, when is the U.S. national team going to bring Drake Callender in? Because last year he was named top 3. He was a top 3 finalist for goalkeeper of the year in MLS. And this is a guy who didn't start as a starter, at the beginning of the season. He ends up as a top 3, a finalist for goalkeeper of the year. And Phil was kind of pushing for him to be called up by the U.S. national team. And he was. He went to a camp already with the U.S. national team. He was with them during, some tournaments and things. And, he's just a very, very talented young keeper who he does a great job of catching the ball. A lot of keepers these days, they're good on their feet and everything, but they parry the ball. They just punch the ball out. When that happens, there's always a chance for a rebound. Drake Callender is very, very good at he clasps the ball. He gets the ball. He grabs the ball. He's very secure. And, he saved the PK against Atlanta. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered that much. They were already ahead by 4, but they were able to keep a clean sheet, which is a big deal. And he was able to save that PK. He made other saves, early on in the game against Cruz Azul. When the other teams have opportunities, he keeps them in the game. So he's absolutely been overshadowed by the addition of the 2 big stars. But Drake Callender is every bit as worthy of, MVP of the team at this point, for if you count the whole season. He's been unbelievable this season, and he absolutely should not be overlooked. I mean, when you look at these games, he stands out. He is a standout player.
Yeah. But I feel like too, it was 4-0, and it was a blowout. But like you said, he stops that PK. But I think a lot of those saves too, and this is what I meant before, like on the emotional, the mental side of playing with a Messi, I feel like that has a carryover effect. Like even for a keeper back there, he's in a big moment. Stopping a PK, no matter what the situation is one of the hardest things in sports. So that I think hypes. You're going to see that more and more, where a guy like him, even the keeper back there, is going to be more motivated to make big plays in a situation like this, where you're playing with such a megastar on your team. And that's the part that I think if you're an Inter Miami fan, you really have to be excited about, is the upside of this team still, even after what we've seen in just 2 games, and just the effect it's going to have on everybody.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, every one of those guys wants to show Messi how good they are. They want to prove that they're worthy of being on the field with him. You are talking about maybe arguably the best player of all time, definitely one of the top 3. If you want to say Pelé, Maradona, and Messi, I mean that, conversation ends there for best players of all time. And I know the Ronaldo fans are out there and all that, but Messi is, definitely right now, best player in the world coming off a World Cup. This guy joins your team and you are, you're Drake Callender, you're Yedlin, you're Kramashi, you're any of these guys. You want to show him that you are worthy of being on the field with him, that you can play with him, that you are worthy of being his teammate, and they want to impress him. And so everybody raises their level. And I'm sure at the training sessions, when they see what he can do, they're trying to emulate him. He also has been helping I hear more and more. He's staying after practice. He and Busquets both are staying after practice to help the young players. 20, 30 minutes after practice, they're still out there training with the younger guys, teaching them things, giving them tips. And, Leo just seems to be having so much fun. We haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. But he seems to be having so much fun. He's playing with a joy. Not that he didn't always play with joy. He has, but he seems to really be enjoying this new experience and helping the young guys and sort of engaging a new audience, living in a new place, sort of starting to understand the American way of sports, and seeing all these celebrities showing up at the game and all this stuff. It's really exciting. It's exciting for the team. It's exciting for him, and I absolutely think the whole rest of the team is elevated by his presence, and then of course elevated by what he's actually doing on the field, by the way he plays. He's a different level of player, and you can see it right away. Even someone who knows nothing about the sport would know that you're seeing greatness right now. Yeah. And it is very exciting. The second half of the season now, a team that's in last place. I've never, maybe in my life, which is 35 years of sports writing, I'm not sure I've ever seen so much excitement for a last place team. We're talking about the last place team,
right?
Not a team that's on the cusp of the playoffs. We're talking about the team that's dead last with the worst record. And there is more excitement about this team, more buzz internationally about this team, celebrities showing up, social media, everything, images, everything going on around the world for a last place team. It's really,
it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen because an 0-9 team doesn't go out in the middle of the season and get Tom Brady. A 10-50 NBA team doesn't go and sign LeBron. Like that. That's what this is, and that's why it's kind of unique.
Yeah. And you see when you see the images on TV of Jose Mas, and David Beckham. I mean, they are glowing. It's like there's a halo of sunshine around their heads because they worked so hard for this, and nobody believed that it would happen, including me. I admitted it to Jorge when I spoke to him. I said, Jorge, I got to tell you the truth. You're a big dreamer, but I never really thought that this was going to happen. I just didn't. I thought he's going to go to Barcelona or he's going to go to Saudi Arabia. He is not going to come play for the last place team in that stadium. Not right now, not coming off a World Cup. I didn't think it would happen. I really didn't. And, he said to me at that point, he said, never get in the way of a Cuban and a dream or something like that. He really is.
Sounds like him.
He believes he's like a Cuban man with a dream. Don't get in the way of that. He was obsessed. He was obsessed with making this happen. And David Beckham too, in a quieter, more understated way. But they have worked together for a long time, for 3.5 years. They've been courting him, courting his father, courting his whole entourage. And it really happened. And I still watch it and I see him in that pink jersey. And I'm still like rubbing my eyes like, is this real? Ray Hudson joked to me. I was texting him the other day, Ray Hudson, and I'm like, can you believe this? And he said, it's amazing what AI can do, because he said, there's no way this is really him. How can this really be him playing for this? Must be AI or something. But it's real. It's real. It's happened. And it's not just hype, because there was so much hype and there still is hype now. But he has proven on the field that all of those big murals, all of the hype, the Publix, the this, the that was all hype before he played. The minute he stepped on the field, he has shown in 2 games, this guy is for real. This guy's here to compete. This guy's going to elevate this team. And he wants to win. He wants to win trophies. And there are 3 trophies that are left to be won. The MLS one seems to be the hardest out of, maybe out of this group of 3 trophies. But I'm feeling like nothing is impossible at this point. I think making the playoffs, let's just start there. I don't know about winning the MLS Cup, but making the playoffs, I was starting to think was nearly impossible. And I'm starting to think it's more possible that they will make the playoffs. And if they do, if they can pull that off, that's a fairy tale already. If they can get to the 9th place from 15th in 12 games, that's already a fairy tale. But once they're in the playoffs, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, I mean,
we're talking about Messi. Talking about Messi.
Right. And not only that, but this is the season in South Florida for 8th seeds and lowest seed to get in and do something special, right? We saw it with the Heat. We saw it with the Panthers. All these guys need to do is land the 7th seed.
UN basketball team,
yeah,
men's team,
true.
Women's team, FAU.
Right.
This has been the year of South Florida teams that were not the top seeds, that were the 8th seed or below the 8th, whatever, going and making huge, amazing championship runs and making it to Final Fours and Elite Eights and so on. So I don't know. 2023 is the year of South Florida sports. So I'm just starting to think there's some kind of a magical fairy dust that's been sprinkled on. And it's going to be fun. I can tell you that. It's going to be fun to watch. The fans who have had the opportunity and the money, that is one thing. One of the negatives that I have to point out is that I've heard from some fans that the tickets are so expensive since Messi joined the team that some people who were regular fans who used to go for $35 and $40 for the end zone seats, north and south stands, they can no longer afford the tickets, which are literally 10 times the amount, or at least, $200 as opposed to $35 or $40. So, I hope that I hope that the club and the league can find a way to keep some tickets, at a more reasonable rate, because it would be a shame if this just becomes only a rich person's playground. And a lot of the fans who love soccer are people who don't have as much money. Sometimes they happen to love soccer and they loved going to Inter Miami because it wasn't that expensive. And if they make it that it's so expensive that it's cost prohibitive, that would be a shame. So I'm hoping that things level out after the first few games, that the prices will come down to the point where, where a fan could still come to a game for under $200.
Well, I think that's a perfect transition. Now we're talking about a little bit about the ticket prices, and I think the sustainability of all of this. I saw after 77 minutes, he came out of the game because obviously the game was out of reach. And boy, the mass exodus to the exits, which I know it was a rout, but they're there to see him. But let's talk a little bit about that, because I know for those of you listening and watching, again, thank you for watching Inside Inter Miami, second episode. But Michelle's going to go dive into this topic soon at MiamiHerald.com. Catch it later this week. But the impact he's already had, and this is another reason we talked about the big dream and everything, but they had the backing of the league to get this done, to bring him here, the investment that they've made. Tell me a little bit about, you were talking a little bit about the impact it's had on a wider scale too. Apple TV subscriptions are up. The social media, the presence of Inter Miami as a household name and as a brand has skyrocketed. What you've found and what you've seen has been, it's impressive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, most of the world, knew, maybe soccer fans knew that MLS existed, but had never watched a game. I mean, they never had an opportunity to. Where would they have been able to watch an MLS game? It was very difficult around the world to find an MLS game to be able to watch, and there just wasn't that much interest. Now, all of a sudden, Apple TV in 100 plus countries. In 100 plus countries, you can turn on any Apple device and sign in and watch Inter Miami and Messi play. And people are, the subscriptions, Apple is very secretive about numbers, but there are, Sports Business Journal has a source who, seems that is a reliable publication. They said that they had about 700,000 subscribers before Messi. They've gained about 300,000 in the last 3 weeks. And they're expecting it to go even more and more. I mean, this is before he was even really playing. Now that he's playing, but the subscriptions are way up apparently for the Apple MLS season pass all around the world. And by the way, Leo Messi gets a cut. That's part of his deal. He has sponsorship deals with Apple and with Adidas. Every single subscription, I believe, that Apple gets from the time Messi signed, he gets a percentage of that. And then also with the Adidas shirts, those number 10 Inter Miami pink and black sleek shirts, those are going to be among the more popular shirts around the world. You're going to be in Europe walking around and you're going to see people wearing Inter Miami Messi number 10 shirts, and in Latin America for sure, in Argentina and Brazil and Peru and Colombia, in Central America, you're going to see fans who love Messi and who love Miami. Miami's been always cool. Let's face it. Come on. Miami's a cool city. People love to vacation here. It's a destination city. So, seeing Miami across a shirt in pink and black with that cool logo, but on top of that, having number 10 and Messi on the back of that shirt, that's going to be very, very popular around the world. And, the attendance, just their attendance alone has gone up. The first game was a sellout. This one was a near sellout. I think they announced 19,800 or something like that out of 21 or 22,000. That's excellent attendance for South Florida. On a Tuesday night, for people to battle the traffic on I-95, to go to a game midweek, to get 20,000 people. To get 20,000 people in South Florida to go to a sporting event on a Tuesday night, that is a major feat. I've been covering sports here for a long time and I grew up here, and that is a really big feat. So the attendance in the stadium has grown. The attendance around the league is going to grow because everywhere he plays, people are going to want to go see him and they're going to pay big money for those tickets. And then, Apple, their idea and the league's idea was that having him on Apple TV is going to spread Apple products around the world, their brand, which it seems like they don't need more, but they're always looking to grow. And then the Messi, the MLS brand will definitely grow. No one even knew what the Leagues Cup was. No one had paid any attention to Leagues Cup. But now that Messi is playing in the Leagues Cup, all of a sudden we know this tournament, which is brand new, and people are tuning in. And now that the knockout round is going to start and people are going to be paying attention. So, the impact that he's had is amazing. And it was a shame to see the fans, flowing out. And I saw on Twitter, they've already had in fast motion, you know what I mean? They show all these people, fleeing the stadium, after he leaves the game. I mean, come on, guys, what about all the rest of the players on that team? There are so many players who are working so hard, and it's a shame if everyone they're only there to see Messi. I mean, I understand he is a big attraction, but just wait 12 more minutes and watch the rest of the game and see it out to the end. Don't give people more reasons to trash Miami, which there are enough reasons that people trash Miami. So, don't give the Miami haters more reason.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you gotta. A lot of them know Messi. They don't know this team very well. But how are you going to get to know him if you don't sit around and watch him? So it goes hand in hand with that. Yeah, they don't, and we don't need another scene like the Heat a few years ago, and they had the footage of people trying to get back in, and the doors are locked, and all of that. let's not go through that scene again. But let's talk a little before we wrap this one up. Just on what's next. I mean, now, like you said, Wednesday, Inter Miami will be at home. The knockout stage now, do or die as far as this tournament goes. It's the round of 32, and it looks like it's going to be the winner of either Orlando FC or Santos Laguna, which I know obviously Inter Miami has not played them. but they have history with Orlando, the state rival. So if it ends up being them in the next round, obviously much different look with the man himself on the pitch now.
Oh yeah, I mean the Miami Orlando just as cities have always been competing. Orlando always has a little chip on its shoulder that, they are a tourist destination with Disney World, and Miami's seen as the cooler, more glamorous city, and they're seen more as, the theme park city with, Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse and whatever. And Miami is like South Beach and movie stars, and their big stars are, a duck and a mouse. So there's a long history of Miami and Orlando having a rivalry. And, it happened in basketball, it's happened with the Magic and with the Heat and with these teams. Absolutely. I mean, it's just a drive away. I can tell you for sure, if it's going to be Orlando, if it is Orlando, those fans are coming down. Those Orlando City fans are going to buy tickets. They're going to pay whatever it is. They are going to come down to see their team against Leo Messi. That would be really fun. I mean, nothing against, a Mexican team, Santa Laguna, but it would be really fun if it's Miami against Orlando with the Orlando fans coming down, excuse me. And, that could be really, really fun. And yes, this is a very different, every team that has already played Inter Miami this season or last season, this is as they said, the new era in their new slogan. This is not the same team. This is not the same this is not even your grandfather's. This is not, last month's Inter Miami. This is a new Inter Miami with Messi, with Busquets, with Jordi Alba coming too soon. In the coming days, he's going to be showing up. This is a whole new team that the Orlando City or whoever is playing them is going to be playing from here on out. And it's gonna be really fun. I mean, from now on, they have knockout games for the next two games that Miami, or the next at least two games Miami has, are knockout games. They're gonna have this game, which is a knockout game on Wednesday, and then on October 23rd, they have a knockout game at Cincinnati and U.S. Open Cup. In between there, if they advance next Wednesday, there will be more knockout games. So they're going to be do or die games with Leo Messi in the middle of all of the excitement. Imagine more celebrities showing up and more people wanting to take their limousines down Commercial Boulevard, past the Dunkin' Donuts, past the McDonald's, turn on 15th, and go inside the gate into the pink and black Lego set stadium. It's really incredible. It's an incredible story that we are witnessing. It really is. It's very rare. It's very unique, and you really have to give the Moss brothers and David Beckham a lot of credit for sticking with it and working with the league and begging the league and Apple and Adidas and everybody to get involved, because this could be transformative for all of them. And I think it is. It's already shown in 2 games, I believe. I don't think it's overstated.
I bet those Dunkin' Donuts managers and owners are loving them some Inter Miami these days over on Commercial Boulevard, especially post game. No, but check it out Wednesday night. We'll find out Saturday night late if it's Orlando FC after all, or if it is Santos Laguna. But yeah, like you said, Michelle, it could be as many as 5 elimination knockout games on the road to a Leagues Cup, plus the 2 in the U.S. Open Cup if they get that far. So a lot of high stakes Leo Messi excitement could be on tap for Inter Miami fans. But for everybody out there that watched once again and listened to us once again, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, all the podcatcher sites, as well as, of course, at miamiherald.com, and on YouTube. You can watch this video of Michelle and I as we come to you weekly, talking everything Inter Miami, everything Leo Messi, and everything else surrounding the team. But once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. For Michelle Kaufman, I'm Andre Fernandez, and we'll see you guys next week.